All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the House Committee on General Laws, February 6, 2024. Clerk, please open the roll. All right. Clerk, close the roll. We have a quorum present. All right, so this is getting to be the busy part of the season. We've got a lot of bills up today. I think we got 45, almost 50 bills that we're going to be moving through. So we're going to do it as quickly as possible. For those of you in the audience, we have 3 subcommittee reports that will be providing their reports to us today. So we've got our Housing Subcommittee, we've got Professions and Occupations, and then we have subcommittee number 5 that'll be reporting out as well. Generally, so that everybody here knows, we don't take testimony in full when we have fully vetted bills within the subcommittee. And if you had the chance to watch over the last 2 or 3 hours, you see that there is discussion, and we rely on our subcommittees to do a lot of that work. For those of you who are here to support Delegate Hayes' House Bill 590. So that is our skill games bill. Delegate Hayes will have an opportunity to say a few remarks as patron, and then we'll have a call for those who are in for or against the bill to be able to stand up to show their support. So just wanted to let everybody know how we are going to work through our agenda today. With that, first up, is our Housing and Consumer Protection Subcommittee report. Chairman Simon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've got several blocks of bills here. Let me start with bills that we recommended, the subcommittee recommended continuing to the 2025 session under Rule 22. There are 3 such bills. The first of those bills is House Bill 528 from Delegate Krizek that would allow property owners associations, would require property owners associations to allow managed conservation landscaping and would prevent them from placing unreasonable restrictions on managed conservation landscaping. House Bill 863 from Delegate Hernandez would change the Virginia Residential Property Disclosure Act and the way we do flood-related disclosures. And House Bill 1124 from Delegate Carr had to do with Faith in Housing for the Commonwealth Act, and would permit a religious organization to construct affordable housing on real estate owned by such religious organization. Again, the recommendation of the subcommittee for all 3 bills was that they be continued to the 2025 session under Rule 22, and I so move.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Does any member of the committee wish to speak to any of those bills or take them out of the block? Hearing none, that's a voice vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Chairman Simon.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. There are 2 bills that the patrons recommended or requested that the subcommittee strike those bills from the docket. That's going to be a recorded vote, but those 2 bills are House Bill 196. I'm sorry, I'm wrong block. Let me do the incorporations first. There were 2 bills that the subcommittee recommended incorporating into other bills, and that's a voice vote. And so those 2 bills were HB 196 from Delegate Thomas, which the subcommittee recommended incorporating into House Bill 598 from Delegate Price, and House Bill 1271 from Delegate Carlson that the subcommittee recommended incorporating to House Bill 996 from Delegate Anthony, and I so move.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded as a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Chairman Simon.
Okay, and then we do have 3 bills that the patrons asked to have stricken from the docket, and I'll move those in a block as well. The first of those 3 is House Bill 733 from Delegate Sewell, which had to do with units occupied by elderly tenants under the Virginia Landlord Tenant Act. House Bill 918 from Delegate Shin, which had to do with the Real Estate Timeshare Act and termination without cause. And House Bill 1421 from Delegate Moorfield, which had to do with the Virginia Housing Trust Fund and expanding the eligibility for loans. All 3 of those patrons requested that we strike their bills from the docket, and I so move.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Clerk, open the roll. All right, clerk, close the roll. Those bills are struck from the docket on a 19-0 vote. Chairman Simon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Then we have the next set of bills. We have 6 bills that were reported unanimously, and unless somebody wants to pull them out, we can, I think, vote on these in an uncontested block. The first of those is House Bill 105 from Delegate Reeser, which has to do with the Resale Disclosure Act, and it makes certain technical amendments. The subcommittee recommended certain even more technical amendments, and I so move.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor of adopting the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the amended bill is before us.
Okay, and so with those changes, what this does is just adds condominium associations and real estate cooperative associations to the types of associations prohibited from collecting certain fees, unless, in addition to other requirements, they are filing they're current in filing their most recent annual report. Subcommittee recommended reporting with amendments by a vote of 8-0, and at the appropriate time, I'll move, so we do that in a block. House Bill 817 from Delegate McClure. The subcommittee recommended adopting a substitute, and I so move.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, substitute is properly before us. Chairman Simon.
And so with the substitute, the bill prohibits certain retaliatory conduct against tenants by landlords when the tenants have actual knowledge of certain facts that would establish that their conduct was, in fact, retaliatory. The subcommittee recommended reporting with substitute by a vote of 8-0. The next bill in our block is House Bill 1237 from Delegate Willett. And the subcommittee recommended adopting a substitute, and I so move.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor of the substitute say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the substitute is before us.
And this bill changes updates the definition of place of business for real estate brokers and requires firm licensees and licensees of branch offices to be maintained on the premises of such firm or branch office, and also narrows the requirements for when you're establishing a branch office. So if, for instance, you spend a lot of time working out of your car is not going to constitute a branch office, or if you work from home sometimes because you got used to setting up a home office there, that doesn't constitute a branch office. Subcommittee recommended reporting with substitute by a vote of 8-0. The next bill is House Bill 1241 from Delegate Wilt. The subcommittee recommended certain amendments, which I now move.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded to adopt the amendments. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. All right, the bill as amended is before us.
Mr. Chairman, what House Bill 1241 does is it talks about partial termination of certain timeshare buildings and allows for the partial termination of a timeshare project by a developer or an association and provides the procedures for the early termination. The amendments were a concession to me that had to do with how liens would be treated, and the subcommittee recommended reporting with those amendments by a vote of 7-0. The next bill is House Bill 1243, which had no amendments. Which is the surprise rather than the rule.
Yeah.
And what that bill does is it created the Unfair Real Estate Service Agreement Act. The act prohibits any real estate service agreement defined in the bill that is effective and binding for more than 1 year from its effective date, and that also purports to run with the land or bind future owners of interest, allows the service provider to assign or transfer the right to provide services under the service agreement, and purporting to create a lien, encumbrance, or other real property security interest. You may have heard about this is the issue of these folks that come around and sign up for these listing agreements that are actually 30 years long and allow them to sort of extract a 6% concession even years later when the person finally does sell the house. So we are saying those are void against public policy and limiting listings to a year. House Bill 1272, the next bill in the block is from Delegate Carlson. The subcommittee recommended certain amendments, and I move the amendments.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor of the amendment say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the bill as amended is before us.
And so what this bill does is it modifies the Virginia Residential Landlord Tenant Act to require that the landlord provide a copy of the rental agreement for the tenant, and requires the landlord to provide the tenant with additional hard copies of the tenant's rental agreement upon request, or to maintain such rental agreement in an electronic format that can be easily accessed by the tenant. Just as if you ask for a copy of your lease, you ought to get it. So Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt those 6 bills on the uncontested docket with their amendments and substitutes in a block.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any member of the committee who wishes to speak to a bill or take a bill out of the block? Delegate Leftwich.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question about House Bill 1243. On line 7778, it allows a clerk of court to deny the recordation of one of these agreements. And So I have this issue where I practice. We have clerks trying to practice law and telling us that we can and can't do things. And I'm just wondering whether, I mean, I don't have a problem with the underlying bill. I'm just wondering whether any other instances in the code where we allow clerks to make those decisions as opposed to taking it before a judge as to whether or not it's a recordable instrument.
Chairman Simon?
Yeah, so I would say to the delegate that typically we do allow them to deny it if there's a defect that's obvious on the face. So for instance, if it's missing a notary or there's some other obviously missing blanks or if it contains somebody's social security number, we don't allow them to record that anymore. I would agree with the delegate that the way this language is written, it sort of asks the clerk themselves to determine that the service agreement violates subsection A. And I would haven't talked to the patron about this. But I wouldn't necessarily disagree with the notion that we might need to strike those lines. But going forward, I share your concern. Do you want to take this by temporarily, Mr. Chair, or just
Well,
block?
so, I mean, I'm happy. I mean, I'd like to see that happen, but, we can do it as a floor amendment. We can take it by. I mean, I'm not trying,
I guess-
I don't mean any harm to the bill.
Delegate Simon, I guess the question is this easy surgery if we had it passed by temporarily?
Mr. Chair, I would say this is actually, I mean, the section that he's referring to, we have a prohibition on recording it. We just would be removing the obligation of the clerk to sit there and try and make a determination about whether it's fit for recording or not. If somebody records it in violation of the statute, there are remedies for that. You could record a rescission or something like that. We could, a further document. So I don't think that this kills the bill. I don't think it's essential to the bill.
Okay.
I think it would be pretty easy to just strike those lines.
So Delegates Leftwich and Delegate Simon, what I'm going to propose is that we pass this by temporarily. If we can fix it in the amount of time that we're still here in the committee meeting, we can make that amendment. If not, we do still have another meeting on Thursday, and this isn't one of the ones that has to go up to appropriation, so we got time to make sure we get the policy right. Do I have a motion to pass by temporarily?
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded that this be passed by temporarily. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Chair, one other.
Delegate Leftwich.
I would like for House Bill 817 and House Bill 1272 to come out of the block.
You're ruining our block.
I'm
Delegate
sorry.
Leftwich.
This is the only problem I'm going to cause the entire meeting. I
All right,
promise.
very good. Okay, we are happy to take those out of the block.
Promise.
All right, Mr. Clerk, can you tell us what is left in the block now?
All right, Mr. Chairman, I show in the block still House Bill 105, House Bill 1237, House Bill 1241, and House Bill 1272.
All right. Delegate Leftwich, does that comport with?
1272, I wanted out of the block.
I'm sorry?
There were two bills I was asking to come out of the block,
All right.
817 and 1272 out of the block.
All right. So I think we're down to three bills, correct?
All right, Mr. Chairman, I show House Bills 105, 1230, and 1237 out of the block also?
1237.
Oh, 1237 is fine, okay. So 105, 1241, and 1272. 817 is okay? All right. All right. Mr. Chairman, I have House Bills 105, 817, 1241, and 1272. Is that? No.
So just remove 1243 and 1272.
Remove 1237 and 1272.
No, 1237 should stay in the block.
All right, what should be in the block? 105?
It should be 105, 817,
Yeah.
1237, and 1241.
There we go. 4 bills. All right, Mr. Chairman, conferring with the attorney, we have 105, 817, 1237, and 1241.
817, yeah.
817 out of the block also.
105, 1237, and 1241.
Only 3. 105, all right.
105, 1237, and 1241. Everything else out.
Okay, got it. All right.
All right,
there we
Mr.
go.
Clerk, are we all set?
We're all all set.
Okay. Clerk, open the roll. All right, clerk, close the roll. Those bills report 19-0. All right, and so I guess Chairman Simon, what's the next bill that we need to vote on individually then that we didn't do in blocks? 817?
Mr. Chairman, I move 817 report.
Okay. Do I have a second on 817? All right, so it's been properly moved and seconded that we report House Bill 817 with a substitute. Any comments or questions from members of the committee? Hearing none, clerk, open the roll. All right. Clerk, close the roll. That bill reports with substitute 15-4. Chairman Simon.
Is there anything else that was pulled out of the block there? Or are we on to the
1272.
contested? Mr. Chair, I move House Bill 1273 report.
Second.
All right, so House Bill 1272 as amended,
22.
been properly moved and seconded. Any comments, questions from committee members? Hearing none, clerk, open the roll. Clerk, close the roll. That bill reports with amendment 16-3. All right, Chairman Simon, what else do we have in here?
Okay, so we now have 11 bills that were recommended for reporting on the contested blocks. We'll do those one at a time.
Chairman Simon, if you could hold just one moment.
Yeah.
Did we get everything except for the one that we carried over? Okay, sorry, Chairman Simon.
Okay, so House Bill, next on the docket, House Bill 442 from Delegate Bennett Parker has some certain subcommittee amendments, which I now move.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, that bill is before us as amended.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, what House Bill 442 does is it provides certain remedies for noncompliance with the rental agreement and requires a payment plan. And it requires certain landlords to enter into payment plans before terminating a rental agreement due to non-payment of rent. If the exact amount of rent owed is less than or equal to 1 month's rent plus any late charges, the substitute makes it clear that you can only do one of these every year or so. It sort of puts things back in similar to the posture that we had during the pandemic. Some of those terms sunsetted, and this bill sort of restores what we had in 2020 and 2021. Subcommittee recommended reporting with amendments by a vote of 5-3, and I so move.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded that we report the bill as amended. Does any member of the committee have comments, questions? Hearing none, clerk, open the roll. All right, clerk, close the roll. That bill reports with amendments 10-9. Chairman Simon.
Next bill is House Bill 598 from Delegate Price. The subcommittee recommended adoption of a substitute, and I so move.
Second.
All right, all those in favor of the substitute, please say by aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The substitute is properly before us.
And Mr. Chairman, similar vein, with this bill increases from 5 days to 14 days the mandatory waiting period before landlords can serve written notice on a tenant notifying them of their non-payment of rent and their intention to terminate the rental agreement. So we go from a 5-day notice to pay or quit to a 14-day notice to pay or quit. That's basically what the bill does. The subcommittee recommended reporting with substitute by a vote of 5-3, and I so move.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Any member of the committee have any comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, open the roll. All right, clerk will close the roll. That bill reports with substitute 10-9.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, the next bill is an excellent bill, House Bill 634 from Delegate Simon. And the subcommittee recommended reporting, but let me tell you what it does first. This bill prohibits a locality from enacting or enforcing any ordinance that bans the rental of residential units for 30 consecutive days or longer bill allows the locality by ordinance to regulate such rental if the regulations are reasonable, do not exceed the requirements for an owner-occupied residential property or residential property rented for a lease term of 12 months or more. So essentially treats month-to-month leases the same way as it does year-long leases, but differently than we do leases that are shorter than 30 days. That's not touched. Subcommittee recommended reporting by a vote of 7 to 0 to 1 abstention, and I so move.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded that we report the bill. Any member of the committee have any comments, questions? If not, clerk, open the roll. All right, clerk, close the roll. That bill reports 18 to 1.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, the next bill is House Bill 967 from Delegate Lopez. That bill has some new amendments. I think at the subcommittee level, although we recommended reporting, we instructed the stakeholders and the patron to get together to work on some amendments to satisfy all the stakeholders. And I believe that the council has some amendments that were not heard at the subcommittee, but that we might be able to entertain now.
Very good. If council can report the amendments, and we'll let the patron explain.
I think it's a substitute.
Yes,
Oh, it's a
Mr. Chairman,
substitute?
it's a substitute, and it should be available online.
All right, do I have a motion on the substitute?
Move the committee substitute.
All right, properly moved and seconded. All those in favor of the substitute say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the substitute's properly before us. Delegate Lopez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. The substitute conforms HB 967 to Senator Boysko's bill, SB 405, which is a compromise brokered with stakeholders. It simply says a landlord shall provide, beginning on the first page of the written rental agreement in bold, 14-point type, a description of any rent and fees to be charged to the tenant in addition to the periodic rent. Immediately above the list of fees, the written rental agreement shall state in bold, 14-point type, no fee shall be collected unless it is listed below. This substitute, Mr. Chairman, removes our original requirements for disclosure of fees and advertisements of rental units and disclosure of utilities, which was concerning to some. It also removes the data collection requirement, which is something we hope to revisit next year. I hope it's the will of the committee to accept the substitute, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
And like I said, it's the exact same language now that Senator Boysko has in the Senate side.
All right. Does any member of the committee have a question of Delegate Lopez?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Delegate Simon.
So I think you said it, but this now satisfies all the stakeholders, all the people that expressed some concern at the subcommittee meeting are generally pleased with this language.
The ones that we had reached out to and the ones that we had spoken with, and I believe that is the case.
And I see some shaking heads, yes, for the record, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, Delegate Simon. Since we did not have a chance to hear this subcommittee this substitute in subcommittee, very briefly, do we have anybody in the audience who wishes to speak in favor of or opposition to the substitute? All right.
Mr. Chairman, move to
Run on the podium is
Seeing none, back to the committee. We operate by motion.
move to report.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded to report the substitute. Clerk, open the roll. All right, clerk, close the roll. That bill reports with substitute 10 to 9. Thank you, Delegate Lopez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Chairman Simon.
The next bill we have on the docket is House Bill 993 from Delegate Tran. The subcommittee recommended adopting amendments, and I so move.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, nay. All right, the bill as amended is before us.
And so, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, the amended bill prohibits certain fees for maintenance of, and prohibits rental agreements subject to the Virginia Residential Landlord Tenant Act from containing provisions that the tenant agrees to pay any fee for the maintenance or repair of the unit subject to the rental agreement unless necessitated by the tenant's violation. In other words, this is the situation where you need somebody to come work on your water heater because it's broken, and they charge you a fee to come out and determine whether it's broken or not. And then if it is broken, you still have to pay that fee, even though that's something that the tenant is required under the lease, and the landlord is required under the lease to fix anyway. The subcommittee recommended reporting the bill that bans those fees by a vote of 4 to 3, and I so move. Or 5 to 3, I so move.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Any member of the committee have any questions or comments? Hearing none, clerk, open the roll. All right, clerk, close the roll. That bill reports with amendments 10 to 9. Chairman Simon.
House Bill 996 is the next bill on the docket from Delegate Anthony. The subcommittee recommended adoption of a substitute, and I so move.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded to adopt the substitute. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, substitutes before us.
Mr. Chairman, House Bill 996 requires that tenants be made aware of any landlord screening criteria in advance. So this avoids the situation where you pay a non-refundable application fee, you put in your application, and the landlord tells you, oh, well, you're not going to qualify. You shouldn't have applied in the first place, but you've already paid your mandatory fee. And it also has some transparency requirements so that if you are rejected, the landlord tells you what it was that caused your application to be rejected, so you have an opportunity to go figure out what's going wrong and help fix your credit or whatever it is so that you can have more success the next time you apply for a loan. Subcommittee recommended reporting with substitute by a vote of 5-3, and I so move.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Does any member of the committee have any questions, comments? Hearing none, clerk open the roll. All right, clerk close the roll. That bill reports with substitute 10-9.
Next bill is House Bill 1207 from Delegate Hayes. And that subcommittee recommended adopting certain line amendments, and I so move.
All right, the amendments are properly moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, all right, the bill is amended is before us.
And Mr. Chairman, what this bill does is requires the Department of Housing and Community Development Services to develop a criminal record screening model policy for admitting or denying applications to an affordable housing cover of the Virginia Residential Landlord Tenant Act and HUD. And so, again, it essentially says that we're not going to prohibit you from asking about somebody's criminal record, but we want to have some uniformity in the way that landlords deal with that and be able to give some folks some initial advice on whether, again, they should bother to apply or not. And so that's done uniformly and avoids any unintentional disparate impact discrimination. Subcommittee recommended reporting by a vote of 6-2, and I so move.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any member of the committee who has any comments or questions? Seeing none, clerk open the roll. All right, clerk close the roll. That bill reports with amendments 10-9. Chairman Simon.
Next bill is House Bill 1251 from Delegate Cousins. And the subcommittee recommended adopting a substitute, and I so move.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, all right, the substitute is properly before us.
And Mr. Chairman, what this bill does is removes the requirement that prior to the granting of any relief, a tenant shall pay into escrow any amount of rent called for under the rental agreement, but allows the court, upon motion of the tenant, to allow any payments of rent incurred after the initial filing of the action, but prior to the court issuing a final order to be paid into an escrow account in lieu of making such payments to the landlord. Subcommittee recommended reporting with substitute by a vote of 7-1, and I so move.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any member of the committee who has a comment or a question? Hearing none, clerk open the roll. All right, clerk close the roll. That bill reports with substitute 12-7. Chairman Simon.
Next bill is House Bill 1270 from Delegate McQuinn. Subcommittee recommended adopting a substitute, and I so move.
Second.
All right, the substitute's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, all right, the substitute is before us.
And Mr. Chairman, if you'll bear with me for just a second, the substitute's quite a bit different than the described bill. So if you'll give me just a second, I'll tell you what it does. And this bill, actually, what it does is it makes it a prohibited practice under the Virginia Consumer Protection Act to hold yourself out to be a mold inspector and remediator if you don't, in fact, have the qualifications to be a properly certified mold inspector and remediator. And so the subcommittee recommended reporting with that substitute by a vote of 7-1, and I so move.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Any member of the committee have comments or questions? Seeing none, clerk open the roll. All right, clerk close the roll. That bill reports a substitute 9-0.
Mr. Chairman, next bill is House Bill 1398 from Delegate Bennett Parker. The subcommittee recommended adopting a substitute, and I so move.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, Chairman Simon.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, or members of the committee, House Bill 1398 creates a framework for localities to preserve affordable housing by exercising a right of first refusal on publicly supported housing as defined in the bill. It authorizes localities to implement an ordinance that requires an owner to accept such right of first refusal offered by the locality or qualified designee, again defined in the bill, in order to preserve affordable housing for a period of not less than 15 years. The subcommittee recommended reporting with substitute by a vote of 6-2, and I so move.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Does any member of the committee have any comments or questions? Seeing none, clerk open the roll. All right, clerk close the roll. That bill reports with substitute 10-8.
Mr. Chairman, the next bill is House Bill 1487 from Delegate Tran. The subcommittee recommended adopting a substitute, and I so move.
Second.
All right, it's properly moved and seconded to adopt the substitute. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The substitute is before us.
And Mr. Chairman, this bill, as introduced, required the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development to create a model lease. What the bill does as a substitute actually is just require that certain information be provided to tenants in the top 5, I think, languages. Hold on, is that right? Yeah. Yep. And so it doesn't require a model lease, but does require translation of certain important disclosures into multiple languages. The subcommittee recommended reporting with substitute by a vote of 7-1, and I so move.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded to report the bill. Any members have comments or questions? Seeing none, clerk open the roll. Clerk close the roll. That bill reports 13-6 with the substitute. Chairman Simon.
All right, next bill is on a block that's to report and refer, but in fact, I know for this bill, at any rate, the speakers rescinded their referral letter. So House Bill 572 from Delegate Delaney, the subcommittee recommended adoption of a substitute, and I so move.
Second.
All right. All those in favor of the substitute, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, substitute is properly before us.
And Mr. Chairman, what House Bill 572 did was provide that certain rental agreements with a term of 1 year or more will not be automatically renewed if the tenant notifies the landlord within 60 days prior to the expiration of their intent to not renew the agreement. And this has, again, to do with rentals in manufactured home parks, and permits the tenant not to renew a rental agreement due to a change in the terms of the agreement by the landlord if he notifies the landlord of his intent not to renew the rental agreement within 30 days of receiving the notice changing the terms. Subcommittee recommended reporting by a vote of 6-2. Well, the subcommittee recommended reporting and referring, but I will move, and that was by a vote of 6-2, but since it's a new motion, I'll move that House Bill 572 report to the floor.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded that the bill simply reports. Any comments, questions? Clerk, open the roll. All right, clerk, close the roll. That bill reports with substitute 12-7. Chairman Simon.
And Mr. Chairman, I think the last bill that I've got, besides the one that went by temporarily, is House Bill 1456 from Delegate Carr, and the subcommittee recommended adopting a substitute, and I so move.
Second.
All right, the substitutes before are all those in favor of the substitute, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Substitute is properly before us.
And Mr. Chairman, what this bill does, the substitute does, is fairly stripped down, and it alters the building standards exemptions and says that any executive branch agency building a new building needs to consider including infrastructure for renewable energy systems on the roof. Photovoltaic solar panels should be the primary choice for on-site renewable energy systems. Subcommittee recommended reporting and referring to the Committee on Appropriations by a vote of 8-0, and I so move.
Second.
All right, the bill is properly moved and seconded to report and refer with sub to appropriations. Any comments from the committee? Hearing none, clerk, open the roll. All right, clerk, close the roll. That bill reports and refers with a substitute to appropriations on a 15-3 vote. Is that the end of your report, Chairman Simon?
Mr. Chair, do you want to go back to the bill that we passed by temporarily? Or you want to do that at the end of the whole document?
Let's do that now if we can, if you're ready.
1240.
Is she on her way? But- Okay. Mr. Chair, if it's okay with you, let's take it by the end of the docket today and see if we can get a hold of the patron.
Okay,
before we-
let's do that.
Okay. So that completes my report for now.
All right, thank you, Chairman Simon. I know that was a lot of work. We are going to skip ahead, since I see that Delegate Hayes is here, to our subcommittee number 5 report, Chairman Krizik. So Chairman Krizik, you don't have to do your entire ABC stuff, just the subcommittee number 5. Chairman Krizik.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So subcommittee number 5 met last Friday afternoon and into the evening, and we had 2 bills on the docket. And the first one is House Bill 590, Delegate Hayes, and this is called the Virginia Small Business Economic Development Act. And what this does is it legalizes skill games. And there was a number of there was a substitute, and the subcommittee recommended the substitute. And I move to report this, or move the substitute.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded to adopt the substitute. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. All right, the substitute is properly before us. Chairman Krizik.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Basically, the substitute had a number of regulations and strengthened the bill, in my mind, with some things like central monitoring system, provisions for problem gaming, voluntary exclusion, making it regulated by the lottery board, lots of security measures, reducing the maximum amount that can be wagered, 30% tax, and encouraging or requiring either a local referendum or local government to approve them. And there was a number of other things, but in the interest of time and because the patrons here, I think that's enough.
All right, thank you, Chairman Krizik. Delegate Hayes.
Thank you much, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Yes, we did have an opportunity to hear the bill, and unfortunately, the substitute that was placed on top of the underlying bill had a number of things that actually did not strengthen the bill, but strangled the bill. And so we'd like to see the conversation continue. Obviously, we want to keep the conversation ongoing. So with this substitute, we'll continue the conversation and the bill keeps moving. But one of the things we did not have the opportunity to do was to have the members of the community and supporters of the underlying bill present, because we called them off thinking that there was not much to be said on that day. Unfortunately, there were many things said about that substitute that came, and I'd like to, Mr. Chair, if we could, have the members of the community, store owners, convenience store owners, local businesses, which are the lifeblood of our communities, if we could, Mr. Chairman, have them all supporters of the underlying bill to please stand.
Great. Thank you much, Delegate Hayes. And as you mentioned, this is a journey, and this is just one stop on that journey. And so there'll be lots of additional opportunities to make tweaks and changes to the bill as it moves along through the process. With that, realizing we're not going to take additional testimony, those in the audience who are in favor of the bill, or at least the bill that Delegate Hayes originally introduced, if you could stand up and show your support. All right. I thought you all were here for the procurement subcommittee. I'm sorry. No. Again, thank you all for coming out. I hope you at least had, it was fun to be able to learn about how our state government works. It's a much more transparent and easily accessible process than I think up in Washington, D.C., and we can be very proud of that fact. So, again, thank you all for coming out today. We appreciate it. All right, and I suspect there won't be quite as many, but we always provide an opportunity for those who wish to be in opposition or be registered in opposition of the bill, if you could also stand. All right.
He is.
There's a couple.
It's just one. It's over.
Very good. All right, thank you, Delegate Hayes. All right, Chairman Krizik, so what was the recommendation from the subcommittee again?
So the recommendation the subcommittee moved to report on a vote of 6-0 with the substitute. And so a green vote will be to keep skill games going.
All right. All right, everybody understand, and everybody's in your seat for the vote. And I just wanted yeah, could we get a second on that? All right, it's properly moved and seconded. In all transparency, I haven't been shy that I'm not a huge fan of skill games. That said, I'm very proud of the work that our subcommittee has put together to try to put something out there that I think has appropriate guardrails. And again, it's the beginning of a longer journey in order to be able to figure out whether there's common ground to allow skill games. But that said, I would normally be a no on this, but I think out of recognition and gratitude for my subcommittee members, who I think did a yeoman's job of wrangling through this bill, I'm going to be a yes vote for today, again, just to make sure that the process moves forward. All right, with that, no, please don't applaud. All right, with that, does any other member of the committee wish to speak to the bill?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
I'm also a yes. There you go.
All right, very good, very good. All right, clerk, open the roll. Clerk, close the roll. That bill reports with substitute 15-4. All right. And unless you guys are interested in staying for cannabis and a couple other things, you can feel free to leave, but do so quietly. All right. All right. Give me. Okay. Chairman Krizik, your next bill.
Okay. It's nice to see everybody going out quietly. That's great. So we have HB 698, which is my bill, and this essentially will establish a framework for the creation of a retail marijuana marketplace in the Commonwealth, and it would be administered by the Virginia Cannabis Control Authority. Oh, let me say there was a substitute. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The committee recommended reporting with a substitute.
All right. Do we have a motion on the substitute?
Second.
Properly seconded. All those in favor of the substitute, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, substitutes properly before us. Chairman Krizik.
And anyway, this bill will allow the authority to begin issuing marijuana licenses on July 1, 2025, and allow micro licenses and certain pharmaceutical processors to begin operations on January 1st, 2025, and lots of other good things in it. And it's a long bill, but we had a long discussion on Friday night, and the committee recommended reporting with a substitute 5-0 with one abstention, and I so move.
All right. It's been properly moved and seconded to report the bill with a substitute. Does any member of the committee have any comments or questions before we vote? All right. Hearing none, clerk, open the roll. All right. Clerk, close the roll. That bill reports with substitute 10-8 with one abstention. All right. Chairman Krizik, that wraps up subcommittee number 5, correct?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
All right. I know that was a lot of hard work, so thank you. All right. Back to Chairwoman Delaney with your report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So first bill before us is a bill that needs to be incorporated, so more of an administrative action on HB 412 by Delegate Converse Fowler. The subcommittee took the action of incorporating that bill into HB 642, patroned by Delegate Glass, and I so move.
Second.
All right. It's been properly moved and seconded to incorporate. That's a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All is opposed. All right, that bill is incorporated. Chairwoman Delaney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next, we have 6 bills that I can present in a block. First, starting with HB 141, patroned by Delegate Reed. This bill deals with the Department of Veteran Services Veterans Fellowship for State Pilot Program. It creates within the Department of Veteran Services the Veteran Fellowship for State Government Pilot Program, through which The department shall collaborate with Virginia Commonwealth University to recruit veterans to participate in undergraduate level and graduate level cohorts to assist such veterans in pursuing educational pathways to employment within the Commonwealth. The bill recommended reporting from the subcommittee 5-0, and I guess we'll move that in a block, so I'll
Keep on going.
keep on going.
Keep on going.
Next, we have HB.
Unless Delegate Leftwich is going to slow down the train.
He said he wouldn't do it again, so. Next is HB 322, patroned by Delegate Glass. This bill deals with the Cosmetology Compact. It establishes a Cosmetology Compact upon the enactment of substantially similar legislation in the 7th member state defined in this bill. The bill creates a multi-state license in furtherance of objectives of providing opportunities for the uninterrupted practice of cosmetology between member states and supporting the relocation of military members and their spouses by enabling such continuation of practice.
And I believe we have amendments.
Yes, I'll move the subcommittee amendments. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor of the amendment say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. All right, the amendments, bill as amended is before us. Chairwoman Delaney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next, we have HB 350, patroned by Delegate Owen. This bill also has subcommittee amendments, which I move.
Do we get a second? Second. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the bill as amended is before us.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. This bill deals with the Department of Professional and Occupational Regulation for the Board of Architects, Professional Engineers, Land Surveyors, Certified Interior Designers, and Landscape Architects. Deals with the quorum and signature requirement. It reduces from 9 to 6 the number of members for the Board of Architects, Professional Engineers, Land Surveyors, Certified Interior Designers, and Landscape Architects to constitute a quorum. And that substitute recommended reporting 5-0. So next we have HB 1005, patroned by Delegate Owen. This deals with the Virginia Board of Asbestos, Lead, and Home Inspectors, Dust Sampling Technicians, Renovators, and Accredited Renovation Training Programs. It removes the responsibility of the Board for Asbestos, Lead, and Home Inspectors to promulgate regulations concerning dust sampling technicians, renovators, and accredited renovation training programs. Next, we have HB 1138, patroned by Delegate Cordoza. This bill deals with the Fort Monroe Authority, powers and duties, renames the executive director of the Fort Monroe Authority as the chief executive officer of the authority. And then finally, HB 1139, patroned by Delegate Cordoza. This one has a substitute, which I move.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt the substitute. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, substitute's properly before us.
All right. The Fort Monroe, this also deals with the Fort Monroe Authority, land and utility ownership. It removes the number of acres and the instrument number of the quitclaim record in the clerk's office of the circuit court from the city of Hampton on June 14, 2013, in reference to the area that is known as Fort Monroe, in anticipation of new acreage number to be determined by a consolidated survey and a new deed of consolidation.
All right.
And those are the bills that reported uncontested out of our subcommittee, and I so move.
All right, it's been properly moved.
Mr. Chair.
And, Delegate Price.
Yes, can House Bill 1138 and House Bill 1139 please come out of the block?
Yes, those can be taken out of the block. All right, any additional comments, concerns, or anybody else want to take others out of the block?
All right, which two are out?
1138
39.
and 1139. All right. Clerk, open the roll on our remaining bills. All right. Clerk closes the roll. Those bills report 19-0. All right. Delegate Delaney, I guess we have House Bill 1138, which you've already
Yes,
explained.
1138 was removed from the block. It did recommend reporting from the subcommittee 5-0. I so move.
All right. Is there a second? All right. Properly moved and seconded that we report House Bill 1138. Any comments, discussion from the committee? Hearing none, clerk open the roll. All right. Clerk close the roll. That bill reports 17-0 with one abstention. All right.
And Mr. Chair,
One moment.
Sorry.
Delegate Leftwich.
I should have been recorded as a yes. I don't know why I didn't record.
Okay. Sure, if you want to do that. All right. There's been a motion, having voted on the prevailing side, to reconsider the motion by which we just passed the bill. Is there a second? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, the bill is back before us. Anybody want to make a motion? All right, it's been properly moved to report the bill. Clerk, open the roll. There you go. That's all right. All right. Clerk, close the roll. That bill reports 18-0 with one abstention. And then Chairwoman Delaney, I guess we have House Bill 1139.
yes, Mr. Chairman, House Bill 1139 recommended reporting with substitute on a vote of 5-0, and I so move.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Any comment, questions from the committee? Hearing none, clerk, open the roll.
That's with the substitute.
It's with the substitute. All right. Clerk, close the roll. That bill reports 18-0 with one abstention. All right, Chairwoman Delaney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next, we have HB 333, patroned by Delegate Jones. The subcommittee did have a substitute, but I understand there are either amendments or another substitute that he has prepared for the full committee today.
Very good. Council, do we need to adopt the substitute, or are these drawn to the original? I think they're drawn to the substitute, aren't they? Or do we have a new substitute? All right, we got a new substitute. All right. All right, it's been properly moved to accept the committee substitute, and it's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. All right, the committee substitute is properly before us. Delegate Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Delegate Delaney, and I appreciate everyone's assistance in this process to get to the right legislation. The amendments are just basically that the council will be able to travel around the state, one, and secondly, that Secretary of the Natural and Historic Resources shall not delegate any staff support requested pursuant to the subsection to any agency. And then finally, that 60 days after the date of this being enacted, the vacancy in the membership of the Virginia Council of Environmental Justice that exists on that effective date of this act shall be filled no later than August 31st, 2024.
Very good. All right, does any member of the committee have questions about the substitute? Delegate Knight.
I just wanted to get straight. I thought you said we adopted a subcommittee report, but I heard there was a new report. So just clarify, if you will.
Certainly. Yep.
Exactly. Because I think it's a new substitute. I think you said the subcommittee substitute.
Committee substitute. So yeah, full committee substitute is what we adopted.
Correct.
And just so everybody kind of understands the moving pieces in there, as Delegate Jones said, what's left in the bill is that the council has the ability to travel across the state. I think that's very important to their mission. Make sure that the Secretary of Natural and Historic Resources actually takes ownership of staff support and can't send that someplace else, because our intent was for his office to do that. And then my other understanding is that we have a problem filling a vacancy at this particular point in time. And so we have an enactment clause that says, hey, you need to fill that appointment. The two parts that we took out was one dealing with a FOIA issue in terms of...
And as far as remote meetings?
Remote meetings, being, if you were there virtually, you can count towards a quorum. And so that's something we always go through FOIA in order to make sure we're consistent. And then we also took out the part that said all appointments had to be done within 60 days. Notwithstanding this bill, we understand that appointments normally can take more or less than 60 days, and we didn't want to bake that into the code. Did I describe that okay for you?
That is it specifically and perfectly, Mr. Chair.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the committee? All right, clerk, open the roll. Vargas. All right. Clerk, close the roll. That bill reports with substitute 10 to 9.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee.
Thank you. All right, Chairwoman Delaney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Make sure I'm on the right page here. We just did 333. So next, Mr. Chair, is HB 502, patroned
We'll go
by
easy.
Delegate Cohen. This bill requires all forms or applications to offer any applicant the option of male, female, or non-binary when designating the applicant's sex or gender. The bill also contains technical amendments, and there is a committee substitute, so I move the committee substitute.
All right, the substitute, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, substitute's properly before us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this bill recommended reporting with substitute and re-referring to appropriations with a vote of 3 to 2, and I so move.
All right. It's been properly moved and seconded to report the substitute and refer to appropriations. Does any member of the committee have any questions or comments? Seeing none, clerk, open the roll. All right, clerk, close the roll. That bill reports with substitute and is referred to appropriations on a vote of 10 to 9. Chairwoman Delaney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next is HB 962, patroned by Delegate Lopez. This bill removes the term alien as it pertains to persons who are not citizens or nationals of the United States and replaces it with synonymous language as appropriate throughout the Code of Virginia. The bill recommended reporting 3 to 2, and I so move.
Okay. No amendments or substitutes? I don't think. No.
I don't show any on my
Very good.
report if anyone has new information.
Delegate Lopez got it right the first time.
Oh, my gosh. All right. Okay. Members of the committee have comments or questions?
Well, I got a comment.
All right. Seeing none, clerk will open the roll. All right. Clerk, close the roll. That bill reports 10 to 9. Chairwoman Delaney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next is HB 1178, patroned by Delegate Sickles. There was a substitute recommended from the subcommittee, so I so move.
All right. It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt the substitute. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. All right. The substitute's properly before us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This bill amends the membership of the Board of Directors of the Commonwealth of Virginia Innovation Partnership Authority by adding non-legislative citizen member to increase the total membership to 12 members and removing the position currently held by a Director of Technology Transfer Office or equivalent position from a major research public institution of higher education. The bill also provides the Speaker of the House of Delegates and the Senate Committee on Rules the power to appoint 4 non-legislative citizen members each to the Board of Directors. It reduces from 6 to 3 the number of non-legislative citizen members to be appointed by the governor to the Board of Directors, and it removes such appointment powers from the Joint Rules Committee. The bill recommended reporting with substitute on a vote of 3 to 2, and I so move.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Does any member of the committee have any questions or comments? Seeing none, clerk, open the roll. Clerk, close the roll. That bill reports with substitute 10 to 9.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next, we have HB 1190, patroned by Delegate Thomas. This bill had a substitute reported out of subcommittee, so I move the substitute. Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor of the substitute, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, the substitute's properly before us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This bill provides that any exam offered by the Board of Contractors and any exam administered by an entity is approved by the board and made available in English shall be made available in any language that meets the threshold for having election materials printed in that language pursuant to the Federal Voting Rights Act. The bill recommended reporting with substitute on a vote of 3 to 2, and I so move.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Does any member of the committee have any comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, open the roll. All right, clerk, close the roll. That bill reports with substitute 10 to 9.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next, we have HB 326, patroned by Delegate Glass. This bill did have amendments in subcommittee, so I move the subcommittee amendments.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt the amendments. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. All right, the bill as amended is before us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The compact, this is similar, if not identical language to the compact language that we discussed earlier for the cosmetologist. So the compact allows social workers who have or are eligible for an active unencumbered license in the compact member state where they reside to apply for a multi-state license. After verifying eligibility, the social worker is granted a multi-state license that authorizes practice in all other compact member states. The compact takes effect when it is enacted by a seventh member state. This bill recommended reporting with amendments and refer to the Committee on Health and Human Service by a vote of 5-0, and I so move.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Does any member of the committee have any comments or questions? Hearing none, open the roll. All right, clerk, close the roll. That bill reports 13-5 with one abstention.
Mr. Chair, next we have HB 328, also patroned by Delegate Glass, also a compact bill. This bill also had an amendment, and I move the subcommittee amendment.
Okay, all those in favor of adopting the amendments, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, all right, the bill as amended is before us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this bill enters the Commonwealth into an interstate teacher mobility compact, the purpose of which is to facilitate the mobility of teachers across the member states with the goal of supporting teachers through a new path to licensure. The compact is presently in effect as it has reached the enactment threshold of 10 state members. The subcommittee recommended reporting with amendments and referring to the Committee on Education with a vote of 3-2, and I so move.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Does any member of the committee have any questions or comments? Seeing none, clerk, open the roll. All right, clerk, close the roll. That bill reports 11-8.
Okay, Mr. Chair, next we have HB 642, also by Delegate Glass. This bill had a subcommittee substitute, which I move.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor of the substitute, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. All right, the substitute is properly before us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This bill establishes the Virginia Creative Economy Grant Program to be administered by the Virginia Innovation Partnership Corporation for the purpose of awarding grants to independent content creators and creative economy entrepreneurs. As those terms are defined in the bill, for the purpose of developing and expanding the creative economy as defined in the bill in the Commonwealth. The bill provides for an award of grants of no more than $20,000 to any recipient. The subcommittee recommended reporting with substitute and referring to the Committee on Appropriations with a vote of 5-0, and I so move.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded to report with substitute and refer to appropriations. Does any member of the committee have any comments or questions? All right, seeing none, clerk, open the roll. All right, clerk, close the roll. That bill reports and refers with a substitute to appropriations on an 8-1 vote. Chairwoman Delaney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And finally, we have HB 1125, patroned by Delegate Carr. The subcommittee did have a substitute, which I move.
All right, so the substitute's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The substitute is before us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this bill establishes the Virginia Business Ready Expedited Permitting Program and directs the Virginia Economic Development Partnership Authority to designate up to 3 sites and 7 projects for participation in the program. Such sites shall be either sites eligible for a site development grant as part of the Virginia Business Ready Sites program, or projects with significant local, regional, or statewide economic impact that have been approved by the local governing body following a public hearing or submitted by a resolution to be considered by the program. No more than 2 such sites may be designated within one locality per year. The authority shall complete a review process within 45 days of designating a site to reduce permitting conflicts and provide relevant guidance to applicants. Any application for a permit or request for approval associated with a designated site shall be evaluated within 180 days, and the bill has a delayed effective date of January 1st, 2025. The subcommittee recommended reporting with a substitute and referring to the Committee on Appropriations with a vote of 5-0, and I so move.
All All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Does any member of the committee have any questions or comments? Seeing none, clerk open the roll. All right, clerk close the roll. That bill reports 19-0 with a substitute and is re-referred to appropriations. Chairwoman Delaney, is that your report?
I believe that completes our committee's report. Thank you, Mr.
Marvelous.
Chair.
Thank you very much. All right. We have two more supplementary reports. These are for the subcommittees that we had earlier this afternoon with bills that have to go to appropriations so that we don't inadvertently kill them by not getting them upstairs in time. Chairman Krizik, so can you give us the report? I think you had 3 bills coming out of ABC Gaming.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. These are the 3 bills, as you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, that are being that were reported and referred to appropriations. There were 2 others, but we'll have that next meeting. So the first bill we have before us is House Bill 790, Delegate Hope, and this subcommittee recommends reporting with a substitute, and I so move.
All right, the substitute's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor of the substitute, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The substitute is properly before us. Chairman Krizik.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Delegate Hope's bill, as amended with a substitute, includes permit from the Department of Taxation is required to sell these nicotine vapor products and liquid nicotine, and they're prohibited from sale at a location within 1,000 feet of a youth-oriented facility. It's also prohibited internet sales of retail tobacco products except to a permit-holding retailer, and also prohibited would be sale from vending machines. The permits are annually renewed. Makes it a Class 1 misdemeanor to engage in fraud or misrepresentation in connection with an application for a permit. It updates the definition of retail tobacco products for the purpose of the crime of selling or distributing tobacco products to a person younger than 21 years of age to include nicotine vapor products and alternative nicotine vapor products. And it has a civil penalty of selling to anyone under 21 years of age. And I just want to make sure that that part didn't change. And there's different penalties there. And it removes the exception allowing 18-year-old active duty military to buy or be given tobacco or nicotine products. Requires ABC and local law enforcement to conduct a compliance check and imposes a tax upon liquid nicotine equal to the rate of 0.066 per milliliter, and upon liquid nicotine in open systems at the rate of 20% of the wholesale price. Anyway, the subcommittee recommended reporting and referring by the vote of 8-0, and I so move.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. My understanding is that in the substitute, the 1,000 linear foot radius around youth-oriented facilities was taken out of Delegate Hope's bill, but it is included in Delegate Siebold's bill, which is one of the reasons why we wanted to keep that one also moving. Does any member of the committee have comments or questions on Delegate Hope's House Bill 790? All right, seeing none, clerk open the roll. All right, clerk close the roll. That bill reports and refers with substitute to appropriations on a 9-0 basis. Chairman Krizik.
Thank you. I will take Delegate Willett's bill, HB 1069, if that's okay with the committee and Mr. Chairman. And that was also the subcommittee recommended reporting with a substitute, and I so move.
All right, so the motion is on the substitute. All those in favor of the substitute say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, all right, the substitute is properly before us. Chairman Krizik.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This HB 1069 requires manufacturers of liquid nicotine and nicotine vapor products to return forms to the Attorney General certifying they received either marketing authorization or a similar order from the FDA or an exemption from the state Any manufacturer that falsely represents any of the information required by the certification requirement is guilty of a Class 3 misdemeanor for each false representation. The bill directs the Attorney General, and the substitute, I remember, includes any agent of the Attorney General, I believe, to establish and maintain a directory of those certified manufacturers, and requires the Attorney General or an agent to remove or exclude from such directory any product that's not in compliance, and to notify the manufacturer of their noncompliance, after which they'll have 10 business days to right the issue. Any purchaser of a removed product at the time of delivery must be notified and is entitled to a refund of the purchase price. The bill creates a cause of action to recover such refund. And just make sure. And additionally, HB 1069 prohibits the sale of any liquid nicotine or nicotine vapor products that's not listed in the directory and imposes a civil penalty. I think it's still there of $1,000 per day for each product offered for sale in violation of the bill's provisions until the offending product is removed from the market. Or the offending product is properly listed on the directory. So if it gets in the directory, then that's no longer an offending product. Any person involved in the storage, sale, handling, or transportation of liquid nicotine or nicotine vapor products must preserve all related records for a period of 3 years. The records are subject to audit or inspection any time by duly authorized representative of the Attorney General or his agent. The records will be accessible at any time to aid in any criminal investigation involving the trafficking of liquid nicotine or nicotine vapor products. And violations of these record-keeping provisions constitutes a Class 2 misdemeanor. A $1,000 penalty will apply for each day that a person fails or refuses to cooperate with an audit, inspection, or investigation of such records. House Bill 1069 authorizes the Attorney General or any agent thereof or any to issue temporary or permanent injunctions to restrain and prevent violations of the provisions of the bill, as well as to forfeiture on any property seized for such a violation.
Aye.
Yep, okay.
Yep, aye.
The
Okay.
committee, it's a long bill, as you can imagine.
All right, does any member of the committee have any questions?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah.
The subcommittee recommended reporting to Committee on Appropriations by a vote of 8-0.
Marvelous. All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Do we have any further comment or discussion? Seeing none, clerk, open the roll. All right, clerk, close the roll. That bill reports with substitute and is referred to appropriations on a 9-0 basis.
19-0.
19-0 basis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The last bill, it's House Bill 1509, Delegate Seabold, and this, I'm just going to give you the highlights here.
Thank you.
First of all, the subcommittee recommended reporting with substitute. Do we,
Yep. All right, all those in favor of the substitute, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, substitute's properly before us.
Okay, and really what this does with the substitute, it defines a vape shop as a business whose sales of nicotine vapor and hemp products intended for smoking exceed 35% of their total sales. So that's one of the big changes. The most important thing is this allows for civil penalties for predatory vape stores marketing and selling liquid nicotine products and hemp products to children under 21. And the subcommittee recommended referring to committee on reporting and referring to Committee on Appropriations 8-0, and I so move.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Does any member of the committee have questions or comments? Seeing none, clerk, open the roll. All right, clerk, close the roll. That bill reports with substitute and is referred to appropriations on a 19-0 vote. That completes your report for the supplementary ABC.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
All right, Chairwoman Carr, take us home.
Thank you. I'm going to talk about HB 1348, and this was about pharmaceutical services, and it is different from what, it does not establish a department in the general services. The language in the substitute greatly differs and contracts this. And I will give you just a few details, but I won't go quite as long as
Chairwoman
Delegate
Carr,
Purcell.
why don't we adopt the substitute first, if I get a
All right.
motion?
Move the substitute.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The substitute's properly before us. Chairwoman Carr.
Thank you. The bill it requires the Department of General Services to develop a report to increase efficiency in state agency prescription drug purchasing and reduce spending on prescription drugs. The Department of General Services shall develop this report in purchasing and reducing spending on prescription drugs. One, it will identify every state agency that purchases prescription drugs to dispense or administer, or that provides pharmacy benefits for health plan enrollees, and review the processes by which the state agencies currently negotiate and arrange for the purchase of prescription drugs or manage pharmacy benefits for enrollees. Second, it will develop a list of prescription drugs currently purchased by state agencies that afford the greatest opportunity for reducing prescription drug spending through multi-agency group procurement or other cost control strategies, and review the pharmacy benefit management contracts of state employee health plans to assess strengths of different contracts and the feasibility of multi-agency pharmacy benefit contracting and other pharmacy benefit management cost containment opportunities. In developing the list, the department shall identify and prioritize consideration of the 25 most expensive prescription drugs purchased by state agencies or covered by state agency health benefit programs, and 2, identify and prioritize the 25 prescription drugs generating the highest total net spending among state agencies in the previous calendar year. And then there's also a direction for the Secretary of Administration, Health and Human Resources, and Public Safety and Homeland Security to provide support to the department in developing the report. So the committee recommended reporting the substitute 7-0, and I so move.
And I believe it's report the substitute and refer to the Committee on Appropriations?
Yes, this should be referred to appropriations.
Okay, so that's been properly moved and seconded. Discussion, questions from members of the committee? Hearing none. Clerk, open the roll. All right, clerk, close the roll. That bill reports and is referred with a substitute to appropriations 19-0. Chairwoman Carr, does that complete your report?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it does.
All right, and we got one more that we passed by temporarily that we're going to go back to Delegate Simon.
So, Mr. Chair, back to House Bill 1243. I discussed Delegate Leftwich's concern with Delegate Maldonado and the attorneys for the Realtors Association who actually brought the bill as their bill. We looked at the section that he referenced here on and feel like there's enough protection against recording on lines 67 through 76 that we don't need that additional piece, which is the circuit, giving the circuit court discretion over it. There's already plenty of remedies if they record it and they're not supposed to. It violates the act. You're subject to all kinds of penalties and attorney's fees to get it fixed in the land records. So they agreed to the language that Delegate Leftwich identified was a little bit fuzzy about how it would be determined. So I think what they'd agreed to is an amendment, line amendment that starts on line 77 after C period, strike notwithstanding through, and then all the way on to line 80, D period. That keeps the lettering the same and basically just strikes the clause on, which is currently section C.
All right, I guess.
I would so move.
Okay, first of all, I want to make sure that it satisfies Delegate Leftwich.
That's great. And
That's
I
great.
appreciate the committee indulging me
Very
on
good.
that.
And I want to make sure that council has that language, so we're good on that. All right, it's been properly moved and seconded to amend the bill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. All right, so now we've got House Bill 1243 before us as amended.
And so, Mr. Chairman, the subcommittee recommended reporting the bill before 7-0. So I think with these amendments, they'll like it even more. So I move the report.
All right, so you're guessing that it's get more than 7-0.
More than 7-0.
Okay. All right, any additional comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, open the roll. All right, clerk, close the roll. That bill reports with amendments 19-0.
All right.
Mr. Clerk, I think we're done, correct? All right, I want to thank everybody for their hard work today. This is a long docket. I think we had 45, almost 50 bills. That doesn't count the bills that went to Bill Heaven in subcommittees over the last couple of days. So I just want to say thank you. We're almost to the halfway point. We're going to do the same thing on Thursday, where we're going to go subcommittee full, and that way we get everything out of here and onto the House floor. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. We are adjourned. Thank you.